Anyone else? I was wondering why everybody else's numbers were a little different.
They're quite out. Still, I don't know if any of the want to get away are available, but still not bad. No, I haven't covered it.
Nope, they're all gone. I guess I'm jumping in a cab and I'm flying out early.
Be quiet about it.
Huh?
Be quiet about it. People are going to be sleeping.
It's fine. I'll just spend all the company money and go just book it anyway. For an additional $336, almost doubling the cost of the flight.
Media Hotel is the Westin Irving Convention Center. Las Colinas, yeah, at Las Colinas. It is a Marriott property, that's correct, yes.
Well, we're there for literally no time at all. Nothing's near the stadium. Kyrie lives in Dallas.
Chicken nachos.
You're wrong. There's a yard house across the street. We're in business.
I heard.
We can drink that. We can drink mediocre beer for overpriced amounts.
But the glassware is going to be surprisingly low.
And the burgers are decent. Steve will eat there every night despite the fact that it's free food.
All right, I did change my flight. I'm not going to be on the same flight as you guys, but I'll be on a flight like an hour later or something.
Just go to the airport.
Hour later than us.
Yeah, something like that.
We'll try not to make it.
There's always places to drink when you have points. And you have Anderson pilot. We have two Anderson.
Wasn't in Dallas that they had like that one media party where like dudes like the Lantern guys puked in the shuttle?
No, that's Fiesta.
But that's Fiesta.
Jacob.
Ginger.
All right, folks, thanks for showing up. Today, we'll open up the floor. Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
Right, I guess just get this out of the way. Have you had the conversations about players opting into this game or not yet? Like, when do you need to know that decision so you can start to prepare for a game knowing who you're going to have on the field?
Yeah, we have a team meeting tonight. We're going to go through the schedule, and I think our guys, are excited to play in the game. They will be, and we'll talk through all that, and continue to meet with guys along the way. We already had meetings last week, all really positive. I think guys know that that they want to have something to show for the season, but also have an opportunity to continue to put good games out there, and so those conversations will continue to be had today and tomorrow.
Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
Ryan, this is obviously finishing up one season. How much do you view it as the start of next season?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think we had the situation a couple years ago in the Rose Bowl, and it did build some momentum into the next year. We always want to be playing for a championship this time of year, but we're going to finish things and do things the right way. And like you said, bowl practice is an opportunity for some of the younger guys to get out there and almost like a spring practice to continue to develop some of those guys. And we'll finish this thing the right way.
And I'm fine with two questions, folks. Next door, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, just initial reactions, obviously wanting to get in the CFP, but facing Missouri, I know you haven't had time to really look into the matchup yet, but what's kind of your initial take from the announcement?
First off, Coach Drinkowitz is a very good coach, somebody that I've had communication with over the years. I think he does a really good job. I think they've had a really good season. I've actually followed them some this year because I know him and have a lot of respect for him. So it should be a good matchup. They're a good team. He's done a really good job putting that roster together. And the Cotton Bowl is a very good bowl. We were there in 2017, and they do a great job. The hospitality is excellent there. I think our guys will enjoy the week down in Dallas. We know we have a good opponent and a great venue.
What is the connection with you and Coach Drinkowitz?
No, just two coaches who got to know each other from being coaches and being young coaches, and just over the years have just kind of got to know each other a little bit and encourage each other from afar. So I think there's mutual respect there.
Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Right, last year, obviously, you were waiting to see if you could still potentially get into the college football playoff, even with the loss to Michigan. You already mentioned this is a little similar to 2021, but you had a young team, then so you had maybe a little bit more optimism about how you could use that Rose Bowl. What has been the last week in this building, and how do you approach a game when there's a good chance that regardless of who plays or doesn't, there might be a significant reset in what the roster looks like going forward?
Well, I think a lot of our guys, were certainly disappointed last week, and we did have a practice last week. We got together, we had a team meeting, and we knew that there was going to be a new target this weekend. We weren't sure what it was going to be, and there's a lot of prideful guys on our team, and so they're going to use this opportunity to either finish things out the right way or build momentum for next year.
Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, Jim was connected with the Duke head coaching job last week. I know you probably won't comment on searches, but just what's your expectation with him and just being in his current role going forward, obviously?
Yeah, no, he communicated with me that they had reached out, and so I know he was still in the mix there and having communications, and we'll kind of deal with it. But that's part of this time of year with job searches, and I'm sure our guys are going to continually be sought after. We have a really good staff, and Jim's a great coach, and he'll continue to have opportunities. But I know he's very happy here at Ohio State as well.
You said line of communication open. How do you sell his current job? Do you make a hard pitch? How do you I guess, communicate with Jim about that?
Those are kind of private conversations, but we talk through things, and I always want to make sure that guys are being loyal to the program, but at the same time also have opportunities for their families. So it's not something as the head coach you love to deal with, but at the same time it's part of the job.
Austin Ward, podcast.
Ryan, do you anticipate making any changes on your own to the staff, and what would the timeline be for that?
Yeah, I mean, every year we're going to look at that, and whether it's guys having opportunities to go other places or changing things up, we always got to look at that. But I don't have any updates right now or anything like that going on. But that's something we always do. We evaluate it every year.
Would there be any urgency to be able to make those moves now? You're not in the playoff, and a coach maybe could go on the road. I mean, this seems like it's different than maybe other years to weigh that out and what you need to do now.
Yeah. It is. We're at a different time right now, so we'll take that into consideration. But nothing to update right now.
The 500 questions of this fall's press conferences, FYI. Dan Holt, 11 Warriors.
Ryan, with this not being a playoff game, do you look at trying to get some of your less experienced players more reps in this game, or do you just look at it as putting up the best possible lineup to win?
Yeah, we want to win the game. Certainly the reps in practice leading up to the game, will be spread around pretty good. But when it comes to playing the game, we're going to win the game, and that's the number one thing. And again, Cotton Bowl is a great bowl, and we have a really good opponent. So, we're going to put the best guys out there to win the game.
Specific to the quarterback position, do you go into this bowl game with Kyle's our guy, or do you give Devin and Lincoln a chance to, push him in bowl practices?
Yeah, all things that we'll look at, and it's not just in that position; it's all positions. Trying to figure out, and it'll be good too, just to get out there and have these guys practicing and working, because there's a couple different phases to the bowl practice. You kind of have your fundamental period, then you have your game planning, and then you have your practicing at the bowl site, and there'll be several practices to kind of get evaluations. We'll be competitive early on and going against each other, and we'll keep looking at it, and ultimately it's going to be, who gives you the best chance to win a game. But like you said, some of the young guys, at certain positions will have an opportunity based on how they practice in the bowl practices.
Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on SI.
Ryan, there was a 14-0 team, conference champion, left out, and I think there's a lot of people around the country that are a little worked up about that. As a head coach who prioritizes win at all costs, to know that ultimately wasn't enough to get a team in the playoff, how does that sit with you?
I just, coming off of our game that, we didn't finish it out the right way, then, that's what I've been focused on. I haven't really got too much involved with it. I've always felt like, conference champ, deserves to be in the Final Four. But I guess this is the last year of that. But I'm probably not going to get into all that right now. Just, got my team to worry about.
And as you consider future non-conference games, do you think that it is still an incentive to play major teams like, for example, this year Notre Dame, or the games you have on the schedule against Alabama and Texas and Georgia? Do you think there is still incentive to schedule those kinds of games given the changes in college football?
Yeah, I think now that you have a 12-team playoff, for sure it does. I think that's probably the biggest change. coming forward is that, those games are going to matter, but at the same time, you can build up your team and you can learn from your team by challenging your team with non-conference opponents like that, but also knowing that you'll have an opportunity to possibly make the 12 teams as opposed to just the Final Four. As you can see, it got really tight this year. So no, I think it's going to be a different, whole different, end of the season next year. But I think it's great to challenge your team, find out where you're at, and grow as the season goes on. We did that this year by scheduling Notre Dame, which I thought was great. The last 2 years, and I think we learned a lot about our team early in the season. But yeah, it'll be much different next year, and I think it's a good thing.
Barry, WBNS.
Coach, you've had a week to reflect. As you look at the tape, you said you wanted to look at it before you. What jumped out the most in that game?
Well, not that it's anything surprising. We know this. We talked about it last year, that it can come down to a couple plays and down to the last possession or two, and extremely frustrating for everybody to not finish it the way that we wanted to, and you just a couple things here and there, and you're on the losing side of the game, and I think that's the biggest thing. And there's certainly things that we look back on over and over again, and if it goes another way, we get it done at the end of the game, we get off the field, or we finish off a couple. We had the 3 and out, and then we didn't finish the last drive. I mean, it came down to the last possession, and to not get it done, it certainly leaves a mark, and it's not something you just get over, because as we know, that's the #1 goal year in and year out. So yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing that jumps off the film.
To come that close, do you welcome this? If this was next year, if you guys would be in the playoffs, are you a guy that's welcoming the extension?
I mean, it is what it is. It's not for me to decide. It's already been decided. So it's not going to change the game at the end of the season. That's still the #1 thing we got to get done, and that'll be our focus again this year.
Kellyanne Stitz, WSYX.
Coach, how have you seen Kyle McCord handle that loss and now move forward on to the next one?
Yeah, it's not something that you just move on from. We know that. There's just a lot that comes with it, but it's not just 1 or 2 guys. It's everybody. We all take ownership.
Adam King, WBNS.
You talked a lot about scars in your time here. This is obviously a big one. How do you heal from those scars? And is today one of those starting points, finally having another opponent to focus on?
Well, no one's going to feel sorry for us, so you got to push forward. That's life, and so we're going to do that. We're going to do that. There's always a lot of life lessons, and this is another great one for our guys to learn. About how you handle yourself during adversity. You learn a lot about the guys that are around you, and as a dad, as a husband, as a brother, as a teammate, you have to handle yourself the right way and move forward. Not that it's easy. We're not just going to move on like it's just another game. It's not, but the world's not stopping for us, so we got to keep moving, and that's what we're going to do.
Trying to balance a bowl game, you're trying to balance recruiting, and now the world with the transfer portal as well. How does that work for you throughout the next month, looking at what's out there already in the country?
Yeah, it's a very unique time in college football. If you think about December right now, just of all those things that are coming and going, and the decisions that these players have to make, the decisions coaches have to make, the decisions that are made on who's making the playoff. I mean, there's just so much going on, and then you have, like you said, the portal, and so yeah, there's a lot going on. There's high school recruiting, and so rosters move a lot year in and year out, much more than they ever have before, and so we're certainly busy working on that.
Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Yeah, right with the transfer portal opening this week, you guys seem to be a little bit more aggressive in that area last year. Is that something that you guys expect to continue? And did you like the way that you guys attacked the portal a little bit differently last year?
Yeah, it's inevitable. I think early on it was, you use it when you need to, but the way things are now, I just think year in and year out, the majority of teams are going to see turnover. We'll have guys enter the portal. There'll be a lot of guys in the portal starting tomorrow, and so you have to construct your roster on a yearly basis, and and that's what we're going to do. And so it's no longer, one of those things. Are you going to use the portal or not? That's part of college football. But we are going to make sure that we're doing a great job of identifying the right people that fit the program, because there's a lot of pride in that locker room.
You talked about guys that are going to enter the portal. You've said a couple times, everything that you put into a guy, you get back.
Yeah.
Has it just become a little more, I don't know, like, are you a little more numb to when guys leave now than you were 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah. I would say so. I would say 3 or 4 years ago, someone enters the portal, you're like, what's going on? Now, I think maybe somebody said there was 400 some odd in the portal, I guess, on day one. Is that what it was? And this year it'll be even more. And so these guys have an opportunity to go out and see what their options are on a yearly basis. And so that's what it is. And so we'll adapt with it. But yeah, it's much different even than it was a year or two ago, I would say.
Cameron Keith Robinson, The Athletic.
Brian, kind of off that, you mentioned how much rosters change as a coaching staff, even as for the recruiting department. How often do you guys have to talk about roster construction plans, knowing how fluid things are now?
Yeah, all the time. And you have different. It's cyclical. You have this run, then you have the post spring practice kind of cycle there into the summer, and it's usually how it goes. And then you have obviously the recruiting of the high school players. So there's a couple different spots in the calendar where you're really working on that. You have National Signing Day. So yeah, it's something we were working on a daily basis.
What point? I mean, maybe there's not like one point in the season, but after the season, do you think, okay, these are the guys who are leaving, these are the guys. This is where we have to be heavy.
Yeah, part of it is numbers. Other part is, like you said, where we feel like we are depth-wise. And there's certain guys who, they get to a certain point in their career where, maybe they don't see an opportunity to get on the field because of what's in front of them or whatever reason those are. And so, their best option maybe see what's out there for them to go get on the field, and totally get it. Our guys are competitive, and so some of them will have that opportunity. And so you just have to be, as clear as you can on the front end of it to make sure you're identifying, when you come to Ohio State, here's what you can expect, so that when they get here, there's no miscommunication or confusion. I think we've done a great job of that. But there's going to be guys who decide that maybe there's another better option for them out there, and so maybe a fresh start is good. But at the same time, we'll look out there to see what's in the portal and who may fit what we need.
Bill Landis, the podcast.
Ryan, do you feel like ultimately you got the level of quarterback play that you need for this team to achieve its goals this season?
Well, when you come up short, the bottom line is you got to look at everything, because you didn't get it done, and that's the thing that is just sobering here at 11-1. You come up short in the last possession, it's just not good enough. So you got to look at everything, and we will look at everything.
Into that position, I know you said to Dan that go through bowl practices, guys like Lincoln and Devin might get some opportunities there. As you stand here today, assuming Kyle does not decide to go to the NFL or elsewhere, is he definitely your starting quarterback for next season, or how do you, I guess, evaluate that at the moment?
I think that's kind of a long way away right now. We're gonna get back to work here. We'll probably we had a practice last week. We'll have a practice coming up this weekend, and the guys will get out there and compete and grind, and we'll take it from there. I can't sit here and tell you I know for sure about any of those things right now, but everyone's gonna have an opportunity to compete and get after it during bowl practice, and then when it's time to go play in the game, we'll figure out who should get the reps and go from there. So yeah, I don't really have a great answer for that just yet.
Andy Backstrom, Letterman Row.
You mentioned 2021 being a similar situation with the Rose Bowl. What did you like about your approach to that that postseason, and what did you maybe not like about it, and how would you approach this time around?
Say that one more time.
How do you look at the 2021 postseason approaching the Rose Bowl, so much of a similar situation? What did you like about that approach, and what would you maybe do differently?
Oh, okay, yeah, in the 21 year. No, I thought the focus was on competing and getting better every day in practice. It wasn't as much about the game planning, although as we got closer, we really dove into that. It was more about getting guys reps and getting guys up to speed and really focusing on fundamentals. And then, I want to make sure that, it's been a rough week here, and I want to make sure that when we go in the bowl, these guys are, they are going to at least enjoy the fact that, they're going to be in Dallas. It's Christmas and those type of things. So, I want to do everything we can. The Cotton Bowl does a great job to make sure that, they're enjoying the experience too. I think we did a good job of that in the Rose Bowl. And so we'll do that again here at the Cotton Bowl, but we also know we're there for one reason, that's to win a game. So I think it's that balance that, we found did a nice job of in that game. And, but I think, year in and year out, you learn more and more about how you want to prepare in the bowl. It's, you also, want to make sure you're not overdoing it. And that balance is critical. I think we found a decent balance the last couple of years in that area.
Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
Right, last year at this time, came out of the game and we're talking about going into the playoff, wanting to play loose and aggressive, and kind of seemed to be at the time kind of a doctrine you were putting out there for how you want to play. As you look back at the last game, do you feel like the team met that standard?
Yeah, going in, I felt like we did. I felt like, we didn't overdo it. Certainly everyone knows that it comes down to one game every year, and we live it 365 days in this building. So I think sometimes you can overdo it. I don't think we did that. And so, you look at everything you do, and certainly, you look back on everything you do and try to figure out, where it didn't work. So we'll do it again this year and keep swinging at it.
I just want to clarify something else you said to Bill about the quarterback situation. So are you open right now to some sort of a timeshare in the Cotton Bowl as it relates to quarterback right now? Or do you anticipate it just being Kyle's job like it would be if it was any other game?
Yeah, I'm not going to really get into all that right now. And I don't think I'm there yet. But, we'll just kind of see how practice goes.
Steve Hellwagon, 24/7 Sports.
Yeah, Coach, I'm curious. Mental health is one of your big initiatives, obviously, and I don't know any other way to put this, but Kyle was one of the most vilified people around after that game by a lot of people. Talk radio, message boards, social media, etc. Have you guys had internal discussions with him? He seems like a pretty solid, strong kid, but internally you never know how somebody's going to deal with that, and people lose perspective. What have you done maybe to counsel him and help him through that?
Yeah, well, you try to build up the best you can early on, and build up that armor ahead of time, and then obviously follow back up with it to see how things are going, which all happened. But not sitting here saying it's easy. It's not. There's a lot that comes with it, and just because you identify that early on doesn't make it easy. So we got a lot of people who care about him around here.
Transfer portal. Social media has already released 4 or 5 different guys off your team. Evan Pryor, I guess, just within the last hour posted he's leaving. Just your thoughts about the guys who are already kind of put in there, and without identifying 1 or 2 of them, are there some guys who have put in that you're going to work really hard to make sure that maybe they consider staying? I don't know, what's your thought about that?
Well, certainly there's going to be conversations with a bunch of the guys. That's just, kind of the way it is right now in college football. But we're going to try to do everything we can to have the best roster year in and year out. But knowing that, for some guys, there may be better options out there for them. And so, part of it is, that's the case for some players. Other situations, you're trying to, I guess, quote unquote, recruit your own roster, and that's part of it, to make sure they understand what their vision is, or what our vision is for them in the next calendar year. So, all part of the process right now.
Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, I'm kind of struck by the fact you're pretty non-committal about the quarterback position right now. Kyle obviously had a very high bar to get to because the 3 predecessors, the Heisman Trophy finalists. Were you generally happy with how he played this year? Do you feel like he's the guy who could take you to a championship?
I think there was a lot of really good things this year. I think started off at the beginning of the year, and you could see some of the good things that were going on. And I think as time went on, Kyle got better as the season went on. He had a little bit of those ankle injuries that he worked through. He showed toughness there. Certainly the Notre Dame game, he played really well down the stretch. So I think there was growth there for sure. And I think he's a good quarterback. I do. So, you just, after every year, you kind of evaluate everything and try to figure out what to do next. But I think there was a lot of progress made this year.
And in terms of, you're the coach, you get to take even more heat. Losing to Michigan 3 times in a row, obviously you got to get. How much attention have you paid to that? How have you personally coped with this?
Well, it's not easy. Obviously, we know what the expectation is, and so when you don't get it done, it hurts, and we all know what it means to so many people. But nobody's hurting more than the people in this building, and ultimately it comes back on me. So I understand that and own it. So we're just going to work like hell to get the thing fixed.
Doug Maurice, Kings of Columbus.
When you were asked about, like a year from now, in this exact situation, you'll be in the playoff, in the 12-team playoff, and your answer was sort of like, you still need to beat Michigan, right? Last year you lose to Michigan, but your dreams, your big picture dreams are still alive. This year they're not alive. Going forward, they probably will be alive. Like, how does the Michigan game fit into what the future of Ohio State football is in a 12-team playoff role? I was just struck by the idea that you were asked about the 12-team playoff, and you kind of said we need to beat Michigan.
Yeah, that's it. I just believe in that, and we haven't got it done in the last few years, so it hurts, but ultimately that's it. Like, when you get up in the morning, if you're not thinking about winning that game, then you probably don't deserve to be in the program. And so we have to continue to work on that and get it done. And then once we accomplish that, then we'll go on from there.
You talked about when you have this situation, you evaluate everything, right? How do you think you coached in the Michigan game?
Probably different than I did the year before. I think if you talk to the guys, I think we had a really good plan leading up to the game. I think the week was really good vibe around the team. You look back on a couple of decisions you make and you say, well, for instance, at the end of the first half, if we make the field goal, you probably feel better about that decision. 4th and 2, 30 seconds to go. Maybe if, we get a couple more first downs, a shorter field goal, or maybe even have a chance to, score a touchdown there. But I felt like at the time it was a good decision. And I think if we make the field goal, it's a better decision. But when you don't, you come up short. Certainly, you second guess all those things. So, I think our guys were prepared, and I think we had a good vibe going in that week. I think our guys were locked in. They knew how important the game was. Certainly, just, you live it all year round. But when you don't get it done, you got to do a better job. So I think that's probably a long way of saying ultimately we didn't get it done.
And just to follow up on that, the 4th and 2, you want to be aggressive. Is that a fair generalization of how you want to coach and you want your team to play? I think knowing that, I think a lot of us were struck by that you didn't go for it on 4th and 2. You just brought it up.
Yeah.
Do you wish you would have gone for it? Do you think you should have?
Well, since we missed the field goal, yeah.
I mean, you guys don't. It's a 52-yard field goal. You don't make a ton of 50-yarders.
I felt like we had the wind, and he was kicking pretty good, and he had plenty of leg. But yeah, we missed it. So ultimately, we probably need to, get a couple more first downs and add to the field goal there. Yeah.
And I don't mean to belabor the point, but I think it's so sort of like important for the history of this game that, again, even like Nathan mentioned, of like you've talked about, like you want to let it rip a little bit, right? It just felt like that was maybe like a let it rip.
I guess, but with 30 seconds left, I felt like, it wasn't like we had a bunch of time to go score a touchdown there in my mind. I felt like, 4th and 2, maybe you add to the field goal. Maybe there's enough time to throw in the end zone, but at that time coming out of the first half, I just felt like, all right, if we can get 3 points here, that'd be a heck of a thing. 4th and 2, not 4th and 1. But yeah, you're right. It didn't work. So, ultimately, you get second guessed on all those things. And, yeah.
And finally, Tim May Show.
Yeah, you almost sound like some of the fans afterwards. If you'd known this was going to happen, you would have done this, right?
Right.
I mean, that's inevitable, right? And
Yeah, I mean, if you, it's a great call when it works,
Yeah.
you know, and when you don't, but that's part of it, and that's what you got to own as a coach.
How long does that stick with you, though, Ryan? Have you spent all week waking up early, going to bed late? I mean, what has that been like for you? You know the vitriol from the fans, et cetera. But what's it been like for you?
Yeah, that's not so much what keeps me up. It's just the players and the opportunity. Yeah, that's why, you know, you don't get any sleep. It isn't about all the other stuff that comes with the job. And you know, what matters is the players. What matters is, you know, what that game means to so many people. And so, yeah, it certainly does. It hurts. And you asked how long is it going to stay? It'll stay forever. That's part of competing.
And two other quickies. Going to 12 next year, are you a fan or not a fan of keeping league championship games? Because it would seem like if you've got two teams in the top 2 and 4, you know, top 4 or whatever, why would you put either one of them in jeopardy of, you know what I mean, losing it? What are your thoughts about that, about a league championship game and what it adds and detracts from this coming mix?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of great conversation about that. Some conversation that we had on our league meetings just surrounding that. I know that the conference championship game means a lot to the league, and but when it comes down to it, I think you know, you have to consider what does that mean when you're one of the top 2 teams in the conference, and then you're playing each other for that moment. So you know, but you know, I think being a conference champ should really matter, though, in being ranked in the top 4 moving forward. Yeah.
But that's a real high intensity game. If it's adding another game to
That's right.
what's coming, right? I mean, from that standpoint.
Yeah.
How did your team come out of that game this past weekend physically?
Yeah, we were okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one last thing, are you guys in the market for a quarterback in the transfer portal, this coming transfer portal?
No, I mean, right now we're not actively out there, you know, searching for anything other than we'll see, you know, kind of what the next month brings, and you know, in all positions, you know. So I'm not going to sit here and get into, you know, specifics on each of those positions. You know, we like the guys that we have at a bunch of positions, you know, but we're going to make sure that whether it's numbers or depth, that we have the right guys in the right spots, sort of like we did last year. But I just think there'll be more movement this year probably than there has been in the past. Just like seems like every year that's happening more and more. So we'll adapt accordingly.
Thank you.
Coach, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
guys. Thanks.
Hey, folks, we don't have the table set up, but you can stay here till 4:30. So I'll be right here. I'm going to send you out some Cotton Bowl media info. I'm not sure about the indoor. There was softball clinics going on. Mike, do you know how late those go? Yeah, I'll take a peek out there and let you know about that. Otherwise, you got the big lobby